little bit of time here because the beginning of these lives keeps cutting off on me. Even they tell me it's go time. So I'm gonna just talk for a second here, and then say welcome to Align Family, where we talk about how we manage to run our lives and raise children, given the fact that we are deeply damaged human beings. Is that a fair description?
So accurate.
Is that so? Okay, so today, and this is why, of course, we pressed record, and of course, we started this 9:07, this 9 a.m. live at 9:07, because as I was explaining to Ro, and I'm going to introduce Ro in a moment. As a matter of fact, let's do that first so we can get in this conversation. Ro Delagrassi, aka Mama Moody, my friend, your friend, hilarious. Please follow all platforms. We check the notes. And Ro, say hi to people.
Hello. I'm just here trying to doing my best.
I told the man today, we were talking, he's like, hey, how have you been? I go, well, just trying to remember to take out the garbage cans and also the world's on fire. Like that's I'm not. And he started laughing, and he was like, "Oh my God, it's the best description I've gotten." And I was like, very happy that I could share that with him because that. But as you know, as a comic, often when we tell a joke, it's not a joke. We're not joking, right? And I'm not joking. Like I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. We're
dumpster fire.
There are people right now. I saw a video and I was like, how is this life? There are all these people who have gone to a meeting to figure out in Pasadena to figure out how to deal with the threat of ICE. There's a meeting happening right now in an American municipality where people are figuring out what they're going to do about this marauding gang called the federal government. Mm-hmm. I made chicken soup this weekend and it was delicious. Like that's all I got. What are we talking about?
What's even crazier, Orlando, is that what you just said, and then that there's people that are like, what? They're doing their job. That's even crazier to me. That we're not all united as a people.
Ro.
And what what I've noticed that a lot of influencers, Black influencers, have said, like, you're all screaming about it, but we've been screaming about it. Which yes, I'm like, 100%. You've been paying attention. We've been screaming. It's now ICE, and now there's white people.
Right.
Have you guys? I remember Amadou Diallo in 1999.
Oh my God! That story still haunts me. That story still haunts me. I mean, Rodney King, forget about it. And that's the other thing. I started to write about this. This was the topic we're going to go to, so we'll double back. But I think we should talk about Rodney King right now. And here's why. And I know 9 people have been killed, and I know there's a whole conversation about certain deaths being diminished, and we can touch on that, but I just want to talk about those 2 for a second. Mm-hmm. The fact that we saw video, clear video, like it wasn't like, oh, wait a minute, what's that? It's like wheels turning this way, guy's not in front of the car. The other one, it's like he's not armed. Not only isn't he waving a gun, you took his gun, so you knew he didn't have a gun. Right? Okay. And people are able to look at that and go, yeah, no, I don't see it. And here's what I want to point out about that. We taught them to be stupid. And now we're upset that they're stupid. Mm-hmm. Everybody watched that Rodney King video and 12 people out in Simi Valley said, nah, Mm-hmm. So the rules of that playbook were set. At the time, I remember people were like, oh my God, this video now, it's all going to be solved. We taught people to be stupid, to see something with their own eyes and then allow you to tell them they didn't see what they just saw. Well, yeah, they all were beating him, and he's obviously bruised to hell, but who's to say which one of those hits hit? What? So I just want to like highlight that even that part is like, we didn't take care of shit then. Oops, I'm cursing. I'm telling people not to curse on here. We didn't take care of things then, and now we've got to clean up a way worse mess. Now there's a parenting lesson I know I handed out more than once.
Yes, and I will say what's interesting too is Rodney King was 1994.
Right.
And was it
right or two? No, it was 92.
It was 92.
Yeah.
12. So I was 14 in New York, you know. And I think what happens, not, you know, back then, I think because it was LA, right? So LA is going through all this. Mind you, at 14, I was still a nerd and try, you know, I wasn't really. I was like, Garfield, yay, you know, I was such a nerd.
Right.
I was devastated by teenage years, what was happening. But what I think happens too, and I think 93 was Colin Ferguson for us in New York. And I say that because I think, especially back then when you didn't have all this that you have now, because what LA was dealing with Rodney King, OJ Simpson, that's why OJ got off. Let's be honest. He got off because of Rodney King.
Oh, 100%.
The earthquake, right? That devastated everyone. What we had over in New York, the Twin Towers first bombing, I think, was 91. Then even then I wasn't like, you know, I mean, I was a kid, right? And then we had Colin Ferguson was 93. And I remember Colin Ferguson, I don't know if you remember that. That was that shooting that happened on the Long Island Railroad.
On the railroad, yeah.
At the train station in my town. So, you know.
Oh, no, really?
Oh, yeah, that was like
that was a wild story.
It was wild. And for people that don't know, Colin Ferguson was I believe it was a racially motivated crime. He was black and he just like, I'm shooting white people.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, I'm not laughing at it, but you know, like,
I mean, it was because you don't really hear, I mean, as much as we hear things, like that actually doesn't happen. Like, that's not a thing.
And it just happened to be a thing that day. What was so crazy about it was that he represented himself in court.
Oh, I forgot about that. Oh, God.
And I think we talked about it because I remember the newspaper said he's like, do you see the man that shot you? And she's like, it was you. Like
at one point he asked, and then he like hid behind the table. I was like, come on, guys. What are we doing? What are we doing here?
Like,
what are we doing here?
I mean, we didn't even have Google, so you could look up how to defend myself. You literally like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna defend myself.
It was you. I remember that because I just was like,
she was like, it was. Do you see the man that shot you? She's like,
yeah,
you're the guy.
You're the guy. So yeah, so it's just. But
I was
sorry. Sorry.
No, I'm just saying, like, you know, when you're on your coast and we didn't have what we had then, you're kind of like in that world, right? Like 9/11 was different for us because we were like in
right.
Not that it didn't impact people, but I'm saying like your experiences, especially with like, and even with 9/11, we did not have all that we have now. So it was a totally different like experience for everybody, which is what I was saying. But Amadou Diallo, I remember it was right in Brooklyn, and it was like and the cops lived in Queens, and I say all this because I remember I was older and working at the restaurant and watching a trial and seeing them all get off and sitting there going, this is like, what are you talking about? How are these cops, off-duty police officers that just murdered this man, getting off? And then they had a cop car sitting, because we drove by, you know, I don't know what I thought I was going to do. I mean, like, we drove by.
Right, you go, yeah.
But you're like, I'm going to drive by this house. Like, what am I going to do? Okay. I have a Zima bottle as defense. Like, what am I going to do? Try and attack a guy? Like, then but they had a cop car. Like, they were
sitting outside.
Yes, because, you know, they were protected, you know. And I remember that was my first experience of like, this isn't right.
Yeah.
This isn't right. And mind you, the Central Park 5 had already happened in
Right.
1980 in the '80s, and not
Yeah.
even realizing there was 5 guys who were innocent, just targeted because, you know what you know, and but when you know better, you do better, and that's
Yeah.
the problem. We're not doing better even though we know.
So that actually dovetails into to one of the things we had, mentioned getting into today. Because the knowing better, doing better, all that stuff, it feels to me I okay. I was like I'm molding the idea, but I got it now. Part of the parenting for me in the crazy times, like just when whatever happened in the world, and it's like I, I got to go talk to my therapist, but now I'm supposed to
Yeah,
stand here and act like I got it all under control, right?
yeah,
And it part of it for me was, especially when they were little, communicating that adults were not displaying basic behaviors
mhm,
that are standards for children.
yeah,
Like I'm not getting to the complicated stuff yet, right? Like just like, but why would so and so do that? That
mhm,
is whatever thing we aren't supposed to do anymore. And I
yeah.
found those conversations the most devastating. I'm just curious if, like, for you right now, because you're in, I, I do not envy you trying to explain even the most
Uh,
basic of these headlines.
well, I will say, I mean, my mother-in-law and father-in-law watch the news a lot, so they have it on. But the kids are very like, I mean, they're 7 and 9, so they're still kind of
Right,
wrapped up in like, mom, right now, Jacob's big headline for him is that Roblox might have AI generated age verification, so he can't have a chat with his friend Adriel. Like he's very like, or like when they get in the, I'm like, yeah, I know, buddy, you might just have to talk to him on PlayStation, or like,
that's funny.
Jayla is very focused on who's giving her candy at school and
Right,
making people drag in airplanes,
right,
um and Jacob is very like trying to he's he's literally trying to throw facts at me and wonder if they're actually true, like what he hears on YouTube, like, "Hey mom, do you know if snow," like, I forget
right,
what
right,
kind of
right, right.
conversation. So they're not in that yet. But I do have to tell them that, like, hey, we have to make this world a better place, and there's some people that
Mm-hmm.
are there's in some injustices going on, and but look, right now, we have obviously some big transitions happening, so they're gonna have to deal with
Yeah,
a lot of different
yeah,
information very soon,
yeah, yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah,
Um, so if I can keep their world right now where it's like, oh, till they get more information about what's happening,
yeah.
then I'm gonna have to just wait on those conversations. You know what I
So
mean?
let's talk about the grown-up side of that for a second, because
Mhm.
you're a whole human being, despite what our children from time to time seem to think. But no, but really, like, how do you manage it, right? Like, how do you manage? And maybe we could talk about how we would optimally manage. You're sitting there watching, pick the story, because I don't want to get us upset about whatever it is, but whatever it
Funny
is on
story,
the
right?
right. And it's just like, what are we talking about? And then in comes, have you heard? And you have to treat the Roblox chat scandal like the scandal it is. Like you can't
Mhm.
just be like, hey, the world's burning, buddy. I'm not dealing with this. So like, how do you like? No, no. Like for you, like, how
I
do you?
know,
Because it's crazy making, right?
because 'cause you're kinda like, "Oh, somebody was blah, blah, blah. This just happened out there," and, like and then Jacob's like, "Mom, have you heard?" And you're like,
Right,
"I," because for him, it's a big
right,
deal,
right, right.
you
No,
know?
that's the news. That is the news today. That's the
Mhm.
news.
Yeah.
Right,
And I go, I have to I use those as times reminder like, as a reminder, like, "Hey, remember, we don't always talk to people online." Like, Roblox, I go, "Sometimes,
mm,
unfortunately, people have made Roblox not a safe place."
mm,
So
mm-hmm,
they have
mm-hmm.
to do things because people don't know how to behave. And
Right,
remember I told you some people on the we cannot believe everything that people talk to us on the internet. His friend Adriel is a little boy that I mean, I hear them talking. It's not like he is trying to hide, like you hear the kid, he's a little kid, but we have to, I use those as reminders, like, hey, remember, sometimes the internet is not always a safe place. And hey, remember, does not matter how many views your little video gets. And remember, what people say online does not mean who we are as a person, or our value as a person, or we're still good people. Some people could be mean. Mommy has had to deal with a lot of different comments that are not nice, but that doesn't make me a less person. Like I use those as teaching reminders.
Got it. And do you find, I get how that helps them. Does that help? Like, what's the role for you? Like, I guess that's what I'm saying is, like, I hear you saying like what you say to them, but like, what do you do with all of that? Like, as you're juggling it all?
Honestly, I'm like, can you hear yourself and remind yourself that, just put the stuff, like, what they think of you is none of your business. Like what people out there think, how many views you get, let it go. Because I say it to myself, because I get caught up like, oh God, I'm putting this out there, 200 views. Oh, big deal. Oh, 72. Okay, just put the content out. Stop worrying about it.
This reminds me of oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no. Go for it.
No, I was gonna say this reminds me of a conversation I had once. It was the first time I heard this distinction, and I was just like, like you hear a new idea, you're just like, whoa. And the person just made the distinction between childish and childlike. That we tend to really insult children a lot, and that there's actually a quality, and in Eastern philosophy, there's stuff about this, and I'm not making it up, but like this idea of like being childlike, and I wonder if in some ways that's what you're describing, is like just getting back to basics, right? Like life basics, like the world's burning, blah blah blah. It's like, okay, so what should I do? Like maybe I should check on friends, or maybe I should. I like the idea of like bringing it back to like, I should think about how I'm interacting online, how I interact, and with whom I interact on social media has very much shifted.
Yes.
My whole life, I've been the person who's like, let's have the rousing debate.
Yeah.
And that has really changed for me, certainly on social media, for a number of different reasons. But I think sometimes like that, there was that book, Everything I Ever Needed to Learn. Everything I Needed to Know I Learned in Kindergarten, something like that.
I think I
title. It was years ago. And I just like that conceptually. I just like the idea that like it's almost like the crazier the world gets, the simpler you want to be in what you're doing, because it's just too much. I think, and in some ways, maybe the ADHD, because as you know, for years I didn't know I had ADHD. I'm 5 years old, and I think probably it was my overwhelmed brain going, there is zero chance we're gonna hold on to all this, so we're gonna have to bring this way down. And so it's interesting. It reminds me of how I coach for sports, and I like it as a way to talk about the parenting. Like, get down. We would talk about like basic blocking and tackling. That's something that like football coaches talk about. Yeah, back to the basic. And sometimes I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what you got to do. The number of professional football games I've watched be lost because somebody didn't do a very basic thing that you teach in Pee Wee football is amazing. And maybe it's like that for our families too, right? Like maybe it's the eating of the meal, or it's the playing of the game, You mentioned it made me laugh. He's like, you have bingo night. It's like the world's on fire, but we still have bingo night. And I was like, that's exactly right. That
was so funny, because as I was away today, I saw family bingo night, February 4th. I'm like, oh, God, I didn't know that. Now I gotta figure out bingo. Isn't STEM night the night after? We have STEM night, and then they're doing bingo.
STEM night. Oh God.
We're doing STEM night on Thursday, but bingo night's on Wednesday. Like, and then we got to make sure we get there. Like, remember last time we had to get the cards, and then you have to trying to set up a 7 and 9-year-old. Like, here's your cards. Listen for the numbers. Is your stamper working? Is your stamper working? No. Okay, I'm gonna do. "Well, mom, we want popcorn." The line is out the door. Like, you're gonna miss the
Right.
bingo. You're calling
Right.
numbers
We're
like
here for bingo. Right. We're here for bingo. So
but we want snacks. Like, we just ate dinner. Doesn't matter. Can I have $1 for snacks? Like,
that's so funny. So it sounds in some ways like it, I mean, we're laughing about it and making fun of the specifics, but it sounds like in some ways needing to parent children that age, because it's different for teenagers, different, like
yeah,
we've talked about minor adults now, it's a different thing. But like it sounds like in some ways you find it grounding, which I'd never thought of it quite that way. I have to think about whether I did, but it sounds like you use it to like ground yourself
yeah.
in like what's
Well,
going on.
it's kind of like what we've talked about. It's like so I watch a lot of, like, I enjoy watching Walter Matterson. He's
I'm not familiar.
I know you know him. He's been on The Daily Show. He's
Oh,
the
oh,
guy that shows
oh, oh, oh.
you know Walter, you've seen
Yeah,
him
yeah, yeah,
before.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I got you.
Him and Jordan, they're really I mean, they go but they're really, like they're showing up to meet, like, to Congress meetings, and they're like or, like,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
and they're like all Walter did the other day, he got kicked out of the meeting, like, and they're filming it and they're showing he's like,
I saw it this morning.
Renee Good, Alex Preddy, Keith Porter, like named all 9 of them. And he goes, all I'm doing is naming the names because he's yelling at the Democrats too that are funding
Yeah,
it. So
yeah.
like,
No, I saw that video. It's pretty. Yeah,
yeah, Walter's been there. He's there. He's marching, and he also trolls like maggot. Like he has to
he's
really.
very funny.
He's very funny. I mean, when he asked that woman if Jesus was to come back, he asked that like that MAGA lady if she came back.
That.
And he said, and he came to this country, would you let Jesus in? She's like, if he had his pay, like if he went through the process, and
like
like,
she walked right into it, like she walked right into it, like she didn't know, like, oh.
We won't let Jesus in, like
That's
like,
funny. That's funny.
It's real, but I look at it, I go, I love this. I love that he's doing it, and I wish I was able to be there with him, but I'm like, but I cannot leave my children and I cannot follow this craziness throughout the country. Like
yeah, no, I know. Everybody can't do everything. And
yeah,
so
that's exactly what it is. So we cannot all do but to go, you know what though? I do have these minds that I'm gonna help develop and teach them to be amazing human contributing to the good of the society. We have to focus on that because these kids, because and I don't know what my life's gonna look like in 6 months, but I do know one thing, I've got these kids and I love them dearly and I love them more than anything. Like they are my heart and soul and they love me and I am their mom.
Yeah, and they need that.
And they need that. And I think as much as I'm like, oh, the restaurant job, I left everything's in divine timing and I have to remember that. And it doesn't like when you say things like that, like how can it all be in divine timing when this is happening in my personal life, when this is happening in the outside world? I don't know. I don't know. I didn't have those answers. I don't know why terrible things happen. But I remember it being 9/11 thinking, why is this terrible thing happening? And then other terrible things happen. And we've had terrible things happen in society. And who knows what they were saying in over in Europe in the 40s when all that terrible stuff was happening, or when slavery was happening and it continued to happen, and Jim Crow and the KKK marching on the streets proud,
I mean, look where we are now,
and look at where we are now. And now, but we just have more information available to everybody. So why don't people know that that's wrong? Why? I don't know. I don't know why they see this and don't know it's wrong. It blows my mind.
So,
if I knew that, then I would know the answers to the world. Maybe it's all unhealed trauma that we're all processing. I don't know.
I definitely think that. Yeah. Like I think that, and this is part of why when you were describing with the kids and the grounding, I was like, oh, it's really interesting because it sounded a lot like what I am doing personally as I've worked on myself. You know what I've been doing a lot of? Cooking. Even last night I was working on a creative project and I just started cooking while I was working on it. I've got my phone there and I think it's similar, right? Like you're dealing with like geopolitics and it's like, I'm going to be hungry.
Yeah.
I cannot personally impact what's going to happen to Greenland, but I can make sure there's food prepared in the fridge when I'm hungry. And I have to do that. You know what I mean? And it sounds ridiculous, but it's why I said to the man, like, I'm trying to remember to take out the garbage cans, and also the world's on fire. Because when I don't do that stuff, then it all falls apart, and it feels like it's falling apart. So, so I do think part of parenting or just living in this is grounding yourself. The number of parents I know, and different people do it different ways, but the number of parents I know who say that they intentionally got themselves as much as they could to wake up earlier than they possibly would need to, just so they could have a minute to drink their cup of coffee. You might be one of those people, aren't you?
Yep. I wake up every morning like early enough to sit down, have a cup of coffee, then start my day.
And you see what I mean? And so those are the things, not just the practice of getting up in the morning, but the practice as parents of taking care of ourselves, not in a theoretical way, but in a like, that's how this works way. And that's one of the things I like about our conversations. It's like, okay, we have this, like, I have my own, so I'll talk about mine. I have my trauma responses, right? Like, even this world stuff, like, I could get into why, like, it is personally, I mean, you talked about the race stuff and the police, it's like, it is personally triggering to me. Also, I was very good in school. I don't say that to whatever. It was many years ago. Who cares? But the idea of failing an open book test is triggering. Like I'm not even kidding. Like the idea that we had an open book test as a group and failed it is so upsetting to me. Like, it's personally, it hurts my feelings. Like, I'm like, I was cursed. The answers
right there. I know.
We really failed an open book test, guys. Like, I'm not saying what are we doing?
I know.
What are we doing? And so then I cook, and the chicken soup was delicious, and I needed to eat, and that's reality.
But also too, what's funny about that, it's all perspective, right? Because then it could be the same as like the world feels like it's ending. You know, I'm trying to make my kids contributing, just decent human beings, because when we talk about unhealed trauma, leaving to go fight the regime would definitely cause trauma for them, which would, you know, it's sliding doors, right? So then it's like, then I got to cook, which used to be like one of the things where I'm like, okay, you know, but then I got to clean or do this, and then the heat's not working downstairs, and then it's the next thing, and it's the next thing, and it's like, it's really just kind of, life doesn't stop at all.
Correct.
And on the live I was doing earlier, you know, Kim was saying like, any closing words? And I remember this quote, and it was like written on a hand, and it was like a picture I screenshot. It was like, hey, do this for yourself, do that. And then the last line was like, fall in love with being alive again.
Yes.
Because we think of it like, how do we fall in love with being alive again? When alive feels like the next mundane thing and the next mundane thing, and then you have something big hit you, like a transition that I'm going through. How am I supposed to, because I still have to show up, and I still have to put on a good face, and I still have to be cordial, and I still have to be polite, and I still have to you know, and then you have somebody that when you post something about what's going on goes, you know, it was just suicide by cop, and then you want to fucking explode. You want to explode on that person.
Yeah.
But and that's not what's going to.
All right, well, we lost Ro for a second, so she'll be back on that. While Ro's away, I'm going to encourage everybody to like, to subscribe, to share, tell a friend. Check out what else we got going on. We've got You Got Some Balls, sports and culture. We've got Align Your Mojo, lifestyle. Interviews from Unstuck AF, which will be making a return. That's our one-on-one interview show where people are telling their stories about getting unstuck. living their lives to the fullest, living the kinds of aligned lives that leave us feeling fulfilled, right? So come through, check all that out. Make sure that you're liking the clips that we're getting out there. And if there are topics that you want us to discuss or questions you have about what we're saying, jump into the comments, let us know, contact us, all the things. We want to bring you the conversations you want to be a part of, so that you can be aligning who you are, where you are, and where you want to go, and living the kind of life you deserve to be living. So let's let Roland back on here. You there?
Was I talking too much about the regime?
Uh-oh.
Can you hear me?
Little
Oh,
more
can you hear me
difficult
okay?
than anticipated. So I'm going to give that a second. So here's
Okay.
the next thing that I want to make you aware of.
Okay.
Align Original, our channel.
Yes.
The goal is to create a community where people are coming through, having these conversations, figuring out whether it's work, life, politics, sports, how we make this all work together.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of what's going on in our world, I think, also goes on, hopefully not nearly as ugly, in our families, which is when we lose our way to what we say we're about, when we lose our way to I just went into a little pontification for a second there, but it promoted stuff too. But when what I'm highlighting is that why someone could look at Align Originals and maybe ask, okay, so what's the thread? What connects all this? And what connects all this, whether we end up on a parenting show talking a bit about what's going on in the world or with sports, all of it is, I really believe that in all areas of life, we are best served by aligning who we are, where we are, and where we want to go. And I'm of the opinion that, yes, that's true personally. I think that's true in people's careers, but I also think that can be true of a country. And I would argue that, and this is where I think some of the things that we say to kids, I help me, because it reminds me, like, it actually is that simple. But like when you say with liberty and justice for all, ooh, she's having trouble. But when you say, viewer, with liberty and justice for all, that has to mean something in terms of how decisions are made. Like, that's a declaration of who. Well, that's actually a declaration of the point. But basically, we're saying, when we have our Bill of Rights, this is who we are as a nation. And so you could have Dr. King say, okay, we need to live up to that. Once you abandon that, that's your compass. So now you can go anywhere. And the unfortunate thing, people say all the time, if you don't stand for anything, you'll fall. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And I think that's what happened to our country. I think that's how we've gotten to this place. And I'm not going to both sides it. And I'm also not going to point. As a group, we actually have documents that make the declarations. And I think that we've abandoned even the ideas. You're never going to be perfectly just. I mean, as a parent, was I always perfectly fair? Did we run a perfectly equitable household? Absolutely not. But I was always striving to be a fair parent. I was always striving for us to have an equitable household. And I think you got to keep pressing toward that and have that orientation. You know what I mean? Don't get nervous. I mean sexual orientation. I mean, just the way you get down, which also sounded like sexual orientation. Now that I hear it out loud, but it's critical. It's critical that we get to who we are. And so, one of the things that I've thought about that's helped me is when I work on my personal who and identify which traits are going to be at the core of what I'm doing. I really have thought about, well, what does that mean for me as a parent? If I'm saying that I'm courageous, disciplined, loving, well, okay, how does that end up showing up?
There
you are. Where you good? What happened?
I changed. I'm on my phone now, and I think I'm going to do that next week too, because this computer, this is, I don't know if you have an Apple. Do you have an Apple? Do you have a Mac, right?
I do. They got me early and I never really tried to get out.
Okay. Well, this is why if you were to ask, Apple to me is they choke you out of your technology after a few years.
Oh yeah. And it's pretty brazen.
Yes, because
it's pretty brazen.
This laptop, I never even thought of it. It's 2019. It's a MacBook. It's a MacBook.
Yeah.
But it's a 2019. And they're like, I'm sure they're like, no, this is geriatric. I'm pretty sure. I'm sure that's what's happening.
I promise you, if you take that in, someone's going to basically say to you, you should just get a new computer. I don't know if they can just say that, but no. I don't even bother taking mine in. I'm just like, I gotta wait to save up some money to just get a new one. I don't need some Apple genius giving me crap because I don't have thousands of dollars to throw around every 15 minutes when they want to come out with a new product.
I know. I'm like, okay, this is that. So, lesson learned. This has happened before. Lesson learned. We're gonna do our phone next week. We're just gonna do our phone next week because lesson learned, Apple. And I've got an older Android, knock on wood, like that. But I'm like, do I need to go to the bin store, and fight people for a $10 laptop that was returned on Amazon? I don't know.
You know what I always find fun? Because I can't believe it's really works. I mean, I know it doesn't really work because that's where everybody would buy their computers then. But there's always some ad on YouTube where the people are like, I was at this auction site and I bought a brand new MacBook for 37 cents. And I'm like, yeah, no. Knock it off.
You got to look at the fine print because I've seen those too. And believe me, you and I think alike because I was thinking maybe I should. But I think it's Denise had to spend 32 hours straight bidding on the MacBook.
I'm like, come on. I'm not, leave me alone already. That's how, I'm going to do a sidestep and I want to come back to what we were talking about. But when it comes to parenting and the world and marriage, the amount of my life that I spend going, will you leave me alone already? That's how I feel. Almost always. I always feel like, will you leave me alone already? It's just that's all. I don't even, it's not even that complicated. I don't even want to get into the details of any of it. Will you leave me alone already? I want to call the White House and say that. I want to call my wife and say that. I want to call the pharmacy over here, which I'm like, you're a pharmacy. Why do you have so much trouble getting a prescription in and dispensing medicine? It's like, why you exist?
I know. Your whole job is that.
And I'm like, can you all leave me alone already?
Yeah.
That's how I feel. All right. But I want to oh, sorry. Go.
I was going to say, I just thought that should be the name of your next one-person show.
Will you leave me alone already? That's funny. It may be. Ro, you may have just nailed it. Because I'm telling you, the amount of time, and then especially something that's totally unnecessary, where I'm like, guy, there's so much trouble in the world. Why would you do this? What is this? What is this you're doing here? Some clown skips you in line or whatever. And I'm like, will you leave me alone already?
No. And then I go into, why do I get so bothered?
Right.
I really am like, why are you so bothered?
No, and that's worth exploring. That's very important, actually.
Like little things, like, okay, so they cut you in line on the drop-off line. Well, it's rude. It's rude and it's not courteous. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
My problem is I have to check this all the time. Somewhere along the line, I got deputized as the chief of the Justice Police. And so, of course, I have to. There are 1,000. Yeah. I gotta say something. Like the world's full of people, but I gotta say something. And it was funny what you were saying earlier about the comic because, and I just can't think of his name at the moment, because I did see that video.
Walter.
But so many of us are that. I don't think people. One time somebody said to me, what people would be shocked to learn is how many comics are disenchanted dreamers.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that is 100%. That's why we can tell you what's wrong with everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because we're looking at it going, what is this? Why are we doing this?
Yeah.
So when I watched that video with him, I want to ask you a question that takes us back to the parenting part. But when I watched that video with him, like, I was like, I get it. Like, I'm not there today, and that's not where I think I belong in this, but I'm working on some of my own stuff to like speak out. And because I'm like, yeah, no, we can't do this. But like you said, like I was sick last week, as you well know.
Mm-hmm.
Today really is garbage day. Like I was joking with the man, but like I really do have to take, I really have to make sure the garbage cans are out. It's all in, Anyway, but here's my question to you, is in terms of how you answer the kids and so on. Have you thought specifically about who, like in your family, like how you should? Do you think of it that way? Are you like, okay, or let me put it a different way, actually. If I were to watch you parent for a week,
mm-hmm.
what do you imagine would be 3 to 5 words I would use to describe you?
Well, if we're, my first thing is like, we come from that generation, I might be called soft.
Yeah, I get it. Also, we could look at like who's saying it, but I'm like, yeah, well, maybe
I will say, I remember one time, I was at the pool with the kids, and something happened between the two of them. They were really upset about something, or I forget what it was, but I was saying to each of them, I said, I want you to say 3 kind things about yourself, or something.
Oh, nice.
And I made them say it. And then, or 3 things you love about yourself. I can't remember exactly what it was. And we all talked, and and we took deep breaths, and then we had a great time. And as I was leaving, there was a woman that was there that I guess was watching me. I didn't realize. And she said, I just want to let you know the way you just talked to your kids was really, really, she just was complimenting how I handled the situation. And to be honest, I didn't even realize she was watching us because there's not a lot of people.
Yeah.
But she goes, the way you just like helped that, like she goes, I've never seen that. She goes, it was just a really kind way to handle the kids. And I was like, I've got to remember that there are like, I use those tools, like I think I'm a mix of like breaking generational trauma,
Right,
but also being a softie at times. And but definitely creating I think if you saw how I parent, you would say I'm a safe space for them.
Now, because let me say this first, so the question sounds the way I want it to sound. There are ways in which I did wonder: is soft here a bad idea? Like maybe, like did I like is that spoiling? Is this whatever, or is this like whatever? But you can obviously be out of balance on the other side. But it sounds to me like you say soft, but it sounds more like kind is the word. Like, would you say or are you saying that no, sometimes it's soft, sometimes it's, I gotta be a little.
Well, I have my moments, I will say, but it is, it's more of kind, but also, I think it's a mix, really, because I also too, I mean, just the way when they got their first semester, like reports, I guess it would be considered a report card. They got a lot of E's and they got some S's, which is satisfactory and excellent. And
Sure.
Jacob had a lot of 90s and Jayla had 90s and 80s. And then I looked at the notes, and the notes are very like motivated learner, works well with others, enthusiastic. Like they get
Very
really
cool.
good notes. And I was like, they're doing a great job. And then, Chris looked at it and said, there's some S's here. And I was like, oh, we have two different perspectives on this. Not to say one's right or the other, but I'm like, I grew up with that. It's not enough. And guess what? I didn't come out okay. I'm okay, but I didn't come out okay. Like, because I still live with that, Orlando. It's something I fight all the time. It's a constant work in progress. So guess what I'm not going to do? Guess what I'm not going to do? I'm not going to say every one of these should be an E. I'm not going to do that.
Right.
And that
Now,
soft, but I'll take that soft then.
Yeah. So, yeah, I hear you. And I think, that becomes a conversation like, well, should there be standards and what should the standard be? It's funny because I had my arc is like yours, right? Where like I only got, my mother was a wonderful woman in 1,000 ways, but she has certainly handled a few car payments for my therapist. Let's say that. In that, she only ever talked to me about the worst grade. Like it became a thing at a certain point where I was just like, here we go. And I'd go in there and sure they'd be like, what happened in Spanish or what happened in history? It's like, I mean, bro, again, I say these things to you because I know you know me and it's not like, oh, but like I went to Yale, like I'm pretty sure I wasn't failing out of high school.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I'm saying?
You went to Yale.
And really, right? And so, I do, that particular one is triggering for me. And actually for me, and I can't comment on Chris's, I'm sure, but for me, that kind of kindness was important. That it was about, I talk to my kids all the time. And one way that I feel this is actually a kind way to be. I talk to my kids all the time about attitude and effort. And that's actually when I did youth coaching, that was like a huge thing for me. If you bring the attitude and effort, we will figure everything else out.
Yeah.
And, sometimes you're going to get a B.
Yeah.
Like my mother used to, remind me when I was struggling in school. She would tell me a story all the time. And my mother basically, I mean, she was so smart. Like they flew her out of Panama and took her to South Dakota to go to college. I mean, like this whole, like her brain got her to America and took care of everything that we needed taken care of, right? And she talked about taking statistics and how she would just sit there and look at it, and she was like, my brain just. And I was like, wow, but that did, then she passed it to me, and I'm sure there are ways in which I passed it to Mike, but I tried very hard to not bring that energy, in part because, and now we get into broader stuff, and I know, my theory, no one has to agree, but I think when we teach ourselves to be that rough, like just fundamentally rough. I'm not talking about being a tough person. That's different. I'm saying just rough with each other, just rough. You know what I mean? Like when kids pick something up and you're like, oh my God, all right. Or they put something down, like they drop it. You're like, oh my God. Like I feel like we're like that with each other. I think like where I'm just like, you could just have put her down. You didn't have to drop her.
Yeah.
But you dropped her. So now we got a problem.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that comes from this energy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think you think, but I would say this, and I swear I will go back to this. But do you think that some, and I'm going to call him a clown to not get into other language, some clown working for ICE with his mask on, you know, for against a pregnant lady, is feeling good about himself? Like he came into this job complete and whole, and that's the behavior of a like well-adjusted human being. Like,
yeah, no, I know.
So we can abolish ICE, and I think we should, but that abolishing ICE ain't gonna solve that.
Well, also, by the way, you abolish ICE, there's just going to be George Zimmerman in the, doing neighborhood team, and
you're
then
so right.
get to do it another way. And
yeah, you're so
the only thing that makes me happy right now in the news is hearing that George Zimmerman's homeless and broke. I'm like, great.
Well, you kind of need like cautionary tales, right? Like if the other side of it is, Kyle Rittenhouse now has speaking engagements and a congressional internship, like that's not exactly discouraging the behavior.
Yeah, you're like, great. I hope all these guys. And then I'm like, how do they sleep at night? But then again, look at guys like Derek Chauvin that killed George Floyd. They've been doing this. Remember the guy that those two, I mean, they went to jail for murder. Thank God. Those three guys that stalked
Ahmaud Arbery.
Yes, Ahmaud Arbery. And that was a retired police officer. So
I know.
There's a story that you might have read. It's like a story that I've seen pop up, and it was like about an old man sitting in like a Denny's or something, and he this guy sat down, he was black, and basically like he could feel the energy, and then when he got up he started telling a story about how he used to be a firefighter in like the 60s, and that he was a white firefighter, and that they let black children burn in, like it was a terrible, horrific story, but
oh my God,
he was like telling it, and he was tearing up about it, but like the guy was like, I don't know if that was what he thought should have been his like confession or like the remorse or whatever, but like I say all that to say like they're still like functioning in everyday society. That woman that made up the lie about Emmett Till lived
her life,
arrested her. So, and I don't even know, like, my hope is that I know that they're living terrible fucking lives. I'm sorry to curse, but like terrible lives, but like they're just functioning around society. So when they die, someone's like, "Oh, they were such a sweet old man." They made movies like that where the World War II criminals that got away with it, and then they just busted it out and then turns out he was like killed people, like it's like, where I don't know, is there karmic debt, is there this and that, and then but we're sitting here worried if we're good people.
Well, right, I mean there's that part.
Yeah. Like, or good parents, like, can I
guess
some of the people that have killed their kids,
wait, again?
Well, like if you're worried about like, are you a good parent? Hello, there's people like Casey Anthony. You're a good parent. Like we're good parents, like if we ever wonder about it, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It was interesting when you said you got, when you because that's so critically important, that for us, right? Because you can't see ourselves. And I think we do worry about it. We want it, but I think it's important to, like, when we do get some feedback that says that works. And I guess I was not nervous isn't the right word, but I kind of reacted when you said soft, and I got what you meant. I know what you mean because we've talked about it so much. But I never want. It's like when people like make fun of gentle parenting. I'm like, gentle parenting isn't, hey, kids, stay up till 3 a.m. if you want. Like, guys, like that's not. people talk about it like it's like the inmates running the asylum. I'm like, relax. But it's that, and again, like, we don't have to be so rough.
Yeah.
I think you can be very like, if I could go back, I actually would be I would be as firm, but I wouldn't be nearly as loud. And I wouldn't be nearly as reactive.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, what I want is for you to do your homework or not let assignments pile up on you or whatever it is, right? And I'm not, in retrospect, I mean, sometimes, you gotta get shaken up a little bit, not physically, if anybody's watching, seriously, not physically. You're like, wait a minute. But like, you gotta shake them up a little. But yeah, there were times where I look back and I go, really? Like, did that really, like, was that about, here's another thing that I think comes up with kids and I think how we deal with each other. Was that about the outcome I want? Or was that about my expression of my negative emotion around this outcome?
Yeah.
I was telling Daphne the other day that Nick Saban, I don't know how much football you know, but like famous, football coach out of Alabama, he had a thing in, because I'm the kind of guy who watches Nick Saban conference talks on YouTube, and he said that he talks to his coaches about when they get on, how they get on a kid in practice or whatever, and if you always coach, his point is you're always coaching to the next play, which I believe in. So when he said it, I was like, oh my God, I totally. And it's that if what you're saying isn't going to help the kid do it better, at least potentially do it better next time, you're wasting everybody's time. And I was like, that's exactly right. Now you're just talking. Now you're just letting it out. Well, finish the game and, go home and have a bourbon, coach. Like, nobody, like, we don't have to all sit here while you process that you're unhappy. And I think a lot of our life is like that. Sometimes when people comment on things or whatever, I'm like, what was the point of saying that? You put up a clip and some mouth breather comes through and, oh, chicks ain't funny. And I'm just like, aside from the fact that that's stupid, like, let's put that aside for a second. What did you think was being accomplished when you fixed your fingers or fixed your thumbs to type that here? No other comment, nothing. Now you're gone. You just want to ruin somebody's day. Like, I think we have to look at that in ourselves. Like, what is that? What is that we're doing? And I'm not saying I'm immune to it, because you get me on the right internet joke, the day is shot. The day is shot. You give me a good Montgomery boat brawl, and it is over, baby. It is over.
Trust me, I know.
But I do think, like, I guess they call it like right speech in Buddhism. But like, is anything benefited by you saying it? And if not, like, we could not, or doing it, or like, even people, people post like fake memes, and I get like, or fake stories, and I get, they get the clicks and all that. And I'm like, but really? You just made up this like nasty story about a basketball star? Like,
I know.
What, to what end? What were you trying? What's being advanced here? What are we? There's a lot to work on, guys. We don't have to make up BS stories to get each other mad about.
Yeah, and like, honestly, goes down to like the basics, right? Like, what if we just chose to be kind? I don't like, and look, how many times in the past week or so that I started typing something and I was like,
yeah,
we're just gonna delete this, right?
100%. No, 100%. Like, where I was like, listen,
close the app.
Stop it. You know what I mean? Like,
close the app.
And here's something too. I'll add to that, then we wrap up. But I think too, with that and the close the app part of it, that's part of the conversation too. you've thought about how you want to show up in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Even when you say kind, I think people think that means like we're going to show up everywhere with orange slices.
Mm.
I'm kind, and I will tell you a lot of things about yourself you don't want to know if you get on my nerves. I will tell you a lot of things about yourself that you do not want to know.
Orlando, fine line between being kind and the walk of peace that the monks are doing. Okay, I am not that peace.
They are another level. They are another level.
Unbothered peace. We're collecting flowers. That's amazing to me. But I can honestly say that we have to know what we're good at, and that ain't me. That ain't the kind of. I love that they're bringing that peace. That ain't me.
No, and and then we can wrap up. But I love what you just said there. You got to know what you're good at. Again, that's why I say things the way I do around the Align stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I think sometimes when people are like, "Oh, you're gonna, live this aligned life," like I'm gonna tell you, like, so you have to be courageous, you have to be this, you have to be that. You don't have to be anything in this system. In this system, you don't have to be anything. The only thing you would have to do to be implementing this system is deciding how you're gonna show up.
Uh-huh.
You could decide that your who is blunt, unbothered, right? Like, great.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get started. But I think too many of us haven't actually made that decision. And if you don't make that decision, it's sort of like that. Is that in anyway, whatever story it is, where they get to the crossroads and say, which way do I go? They said, where are you trying to go? And then they say, I don't know. And they say, well, if you don't know where you're going, either road will get you there.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say courageous, disciplined, honest, loving, right? That means certain things. I can't say loving and then get on here, right, and talk about, let's have a child spanking contest, right? Like, to me, at least. Yeah. But that's part of what guides, like, if I ask myself, hey, should we have a child spanking contest? Or like, no, that would not fit into loving. So then I don't do it. Like, I know it's a very oversimple.
But it's also, I think sometimes what happens with people is like, oh, well, I want this and this, but like you're seeking, it's either seeking outside of and not realizing it's an inside thing. And so like people think it's going to look a certain way if A, B, and C happens. And then that's what I think, honestly, like when I think about everything that we all have reactions to different like fears or things that are happening, and like we're all stuck in different ways. Right? Because like your whole thing with the unstuck as fuck is amazing. And it could be applied to really just because we were just talking about this on the live perspective. I know there's people like, oh, the world is we say it. And honestly, if we, it might sound crazy, but like, okay, there's some things that are going on that are not okay.
Right.
But where can I look for the good in people? Okay. These circumstances are happening in my life, but where can I look for, maybe there's a reason. Maybe I need to step into maybe it's time to step into what I do and really believe. It's very scary because honestly, when we really think about staying like in that mediocre space, just go get that job there and go get that, and you got to survive, and that's why that falling in love with being alive again.
Yeah.
It's a very simple concept of just like what because it's trust me, I'm like I've been doing like a chat with GPT, like, hey, here's what I've been able to do today. And I've shown up in my business this way, and I've shown up for myself and my kids this way. How have I shown up for myself? Like, just can I keep it simple? Because if it's not boom, 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 go, 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 I'm like, day's not productive. But I'm like tonight, I'm like, you can go to bed early tonight, Ro. So you can get some sleep.
Yeah. Which again, kind, right? Like that's the kind thing to do. Kind, like I think people mix up kind and nice all the time, but I think that actually I had to teach myself that like getting some rest when you need it, or even before you need it. Imagine that.
What a concept.
I mean, this is crazy. Is kind. It's kind to you. And what I realized, not consciously, is because I was willing to go without sleep. There's part of me when one of my kids said they were tired, there was like, psh, right? Which is now the lack of kindness is seeping out, right? Because hey, I'm going on 3 hours sleep, so I don't want to hear from anybody. Well, that doesn't mean that. First of all, you shouldn't, and second of all, that doesn't mean that 5 hours sleep or 6 hours sleep, or hey, if you got 8 hours sleep and you're still tired, you're still tired. Imagine that. Like I would be offended. Like if I'm honest, I would be kind of offended. It's like that's insane. That's a crazy reaction.
No, yeah, like when I hear people that don't have kids or like, and they're like, I'm so tired. I'm like, go to sleep.
Right. But they're living whole lives. Like, right? You know what I mean? Like we know that, but at the same time.
Yeah.
All right. So we're gonna wrap it up for today because you and I can do this for hours, and we have. But I do want you to let folk know where you want them to go check you out. The videos. I'm hoping none of you ladies actually gets injured because some of those videos, I'm like, why did they even try that? That's insane.
And we're going to Nashville for like a weekend in the third week of February. I'm like, oh, it's there, and these are my young mom friends, and they're like, we're going horseback riding, we're going to a Cowboy Magic Mike show, we're going to a rage room. I'm like,
I want to go to a rage room. That sounds cool. That sounds cool. I've thought that before. That sounds amazing.
I've done it before. Actually, funny enough, Chris and I did it for our anniversary a few years back. But it's worth it. It's when I said to smash a glass against a wall, there's something about it. There's something about taking a coffee cup and just throwing it.
I enjoy it, like truly enjoy that. I mean that fully. So no, good stuff. Please check out Align Originals. Subscribe, share all the things. Check out the different shows, the different offerings. We mentioned them earlier. Unstuck AF, you got some balls. All Align Your Mojo, all the things. Hey, look, we're just looking for our people. We want to help each other out, live better lives, make this trip around, make these trips around the sun just a little bit more bearable, and who knows, maybe kind of fun.
Yeah, going back to having fun.
Going back to having fun. Let's do it. Big hug, bro. Until next time.